Hi, David Menz here from G4 Guitar Schools in Lake Forest, and in this video lesson we're going to be taking a look at the beginning of the song Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix. This song is played using an E minor pentatonic scale, okay, in a couple of different places. It's also played, my guitar is standard tuning, okay, so if I strum a G chord, that's a regular G, okay. If you listen to the recordings on the albums with Jimmy, he tunes his guitar down a half step. Okay, so he tunes his guitar down to E flat, which means if you're watching videos on YouTube trying to copy what he's doing and you can see his fingers moving around this area and you wonder why the notes aren't working, it's because he's tuned down to, his fingers would be there, okay, on E flat, but his guitar is tuned down a half step. So when we look at the videos of him playing, he's playing out of this position. Okay, so here's the first part we're going to look at. Okay, so what we have is we're going to play out of our 7th position, which means our first finger is going to be around here, 7th fret of the 3rd string. Okay, and we're going to do a little hammer on. We play this note here on which is a D note, 3rd fret, 7th fret 3rd string. We pick it and we hammer on our 3rd finger up here on the 9th fret 3rd string. Okay, and then we come back to that note again, D, crossing over to our 3rd finger goes onto the 9th fret on the 4th string, coming back to the 7th fret on the 3rd string. So that'd be the first piece to practice. You could play it straight with just without the hammer on. Okay, those are the notes. But with the hammer on, we have that. Okay, moving on. Okay, so what happens there? We come out of this first part. Our first finger then crosses over to the 5th fret on the 4th string. So we play this note here, 5th fret on the 4th string for the note of G twice. 3rd finger comes up 2 frets, play the note of A, back to the G note, crossing over to the 7th fret on the 5th string for the note of E. Okay. So we put these two together slowly with the hammer on. And that will be a great place to pause the video and just work up the speed to here. Okay. Now coming back, the lick starts in the same way. Okay. So then we have then we have a little hammer on pull off. We then come back to the 9th fret on the 3rd string and we pull off, pick and pull off to the 7th fret on the 3rd string. Okay, and as we pull off, it is actually, the pull off is exactly what we're doing. Our 3rd finger is coming away from the 3rd string and it's actually pulling down on the string, so it's actually picking. That 3rd finger is pulling down on the string to get that note to sound. Okay. So then all together we would have there we have it. And then this piece comes twice. Second time we play it, we would actually reverse the hammer on and play back to this note here. Okay, so let's play it through the full 2 times. We have. Then we repeat. That's the difference. At the end, we hammer on from the D to the E. Okay, so these two pieces together. Then we repeat the whole thing again. Up to that point. Then the next piece we're going to get is actually kind of cool. It's a bend. Sounds like that. Okay, so what's happening there? We're actually, as I said, we're playing out of an E minor pentatonic shape. There's our scale we're playing. So at the end of this piece, okay, we take our third finger and we place it on the 10th fret of the second string. Okay, and we're going to be bending up to a whole step, so this note becomes this note. Okay, but we're going to bend it instead of actually moving it. So the actual line, if we played the notes individually, will be, okay, that's the line we're looking for, which is the 12th fret second string played twice, down to the 10th fret second string, down to the 8th fret second string, over to the 9th fret third string. Those are the notes we're looking for. But we're going to bend into this note. Okay. So I recommend learning the notes we're going to be applying to the bend before we start looking at how the bend is done. So again, the notes will be. So if we play into that from the last time through, that's what's happening. Let's do it one more time really slowly. Okay, there we have it. So I'd work that piece up as well before we start the bend. So now with the bend, what we're going to do is we're going to place our third finger here on the 10th fret second string, and we're going to bend it up a whole step so that this note we set becomes this note. Okay, now with our bends, what we want to do is, bending with a single finger on its own is really hard work, and bends typically become inaccurate. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend with at least 2 fingers behind it. Okay, so we're going to try and bend with all 3 fingers. Okay, so as I place my third finger here, my third finger is the one pushing down on the note, okay, and actually playing the higher note when I bend it. But these 2 fingers, the fingers 2 and 1, are behind it, supporting it. So I've actually got more strength in my hand, okay, which means my bend will become more accurate. Okay. So what I would suggest here is just to practice this, because bends are very, it takes a long time to get your fingers around a bend, so to speak, so we actually bend it in pitch. So what I would suggest you do is practice bending and then playing the 2 notes we're trying to use the bend to connect. Those are 2 notes. That was a bit flat. A bit sharp. Okay, and just by doing this, it'll start your hand to get used to the sense of pushing up with 2 or 3 fingers to make that bend. Okay, so the last part playing through with the bend would sound like this. So when we get to the top of the bend, actually what we're doing is we're going to play this note 2 times. And it's almost that we're picking the note before the bend is completed, okay? So we bend up, play the note twice, come down, play that note once, down to the 8th fret 2nd string, over to the 9th fret 3rd string. Okay, so again, take this thing nice and slowly. We'll talk lots more in our lessons about this to break it down, but this is a reference to you when you get home, so you've got something to practice against and refer to. Okay, thanks so much. Bye bye.